Hi, I'm here with Heather. Heather, tell me a little bit about what you do and for how long you've been doing it.
Well, I have a cigar and coffee shop in downtown Atlanta. It's called Havana Cigars. And I created it with my husband. We basically tag team to get it done, which is pretty rare to be a partner in life and a partner in business, but we made it happen. And we've been in business about 8 years.
Okay, awesome. I think that's a great testament to your marriage that you can work with your spouse. I'm not sure my spouse and I can work together.
Exactly. It's not
So,
easy.
tell me a little bit about where you want to take the company long term.
Well, long term, I imagine that Havana Cigars will be a household name. I've always felt like that actually from the very beginning
Mhm.
when I chose the name. And I specifically wanted to spell it with a V instead of a B, which is the traditional way, because I thought that that would capture a larger audience
Okay.
and that people who were familiar with Habana, yes, they would know what it is, but
Mhm.
Havana, everybody knows. So I was like, okay, and then next thing you know, we got a theme song, but that just happened. It was serendipity,
Yeah,
but it was nice. Shout out for that song. But yes, so we just decided that that's something we wanted to do. But to be honest with you, it has gone much further than we believed,
mhm.
because as a result of us opening that shop, we now have our own brand, our own line of Havana cigars. So we've just recently launched it, and it's actually gotten rave reviews, and we are, all of a sudden in this market, just like it happened 8 years ago, where we just showed up and we became somewhat of a staple in the market that we're in.
That's awesome. So, who is the target market for your business?
Well, the target market is anyone that a cigar aficionado, of
Mhm.
course, to start, because they would know the quality that we carry. They would understand what it has gone through. And they also would see through, let's say, the airs of just a name, but they would be able to appreciate the quality of the stick just by, of the nature of them being wise in the craft. So that's the first person that I would say that we're advertising to. But then we're also advertising to a novice who is a beginner who wants to start on the good foot and doesn't want to go down the line of, another brand that maybe is good, but it's just maybe it has fillers or it has
Mhm.
other, things in it that are not as organic as
Yeah.
it could be, or even the way it's sourced, or, that whole middleman thing. And we
Mhm.
try to eliminate that by working directly with families, directly with small brands.
Mhm.
And that's our niche, so that we have avoided, being number one, stuck to quotas with big companies that may not want to work with mom and pops. But
Right.
we also allow everyone to eat. We work with families that make cigars for big brands. So why not amplify their craft, with their names or what they want as well, so that we create a new market?
Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. So tell me a little bit about you've been in business for 8 years. What is one mistake that you've made or a lesson you've learned that other business owners or entrepreneurs can learn from, irregardless of the industry they're in?
Well, I would say that it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because we were rushed in creating Havana cigars. We were
Mhm.
rushed into saying, okay, let's try this.
Mhm.
We had it in our mind, but it wasn't, we didn't know how. And a
Mhm.
lot of times that's what most of, those dreams are about, right? Is like, okay, just having the inkling that this might work. And a lot of times the next thing you know, someone comes into your path that, needs that one thing that you're trying to give. And
Yeah.
so you get help, but you can't worry about the how. So that was one thing that, just it was
Yeah.
happenstance, because we had invested in another cigar company, and then they were taking forever to open, and they had all
Mhm.
these issues. And so we just said, let's just do cigars and coffee.
Yeah.
and let's move on from this and see. And actually, by the time they finally opened, we had already been open for about a year,
Oh,
and we had
wow.
waited a year and a half before, you know, we even decided to do that. So it was probably destiny for us,
Yeah.
because the year in 2019 we won Best Cigar Shop in the Creative Loafing, which is a local paper here, and they voted us. It was actually Reader's Pick Best Cigar Shop. So that was such a blessing. And the year that that happened for us was the same year that they folded. So it was
Mhm.
almost as if to say, you know, the the fact that I had to rush to do everything and, you know, try to just figure it out along the way and not be able to, you know, I was told by someone who evaluated our business, who was
Mhm.
an accountant, and she said, you know, you put the cart before the horse, you know, but you did it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, we had to do what we had to do because we had no idea. So, you know, the whole thing is to have an idea, but, you know, it would have been helpful to have, like you say, if you're a coach, you know,
Mhm.
to have someone in that light that could say, hey, this is how you do it. But I did find along the way, you know, there were coach like people that came
Mhm.
into our path for various things that we needed. And then it ended up working out too.
That's great. Yeah, having that passion and that fire is by far the most important thing. Everything else you can figure out. It's just having that drive to get to where you want to go and to bring that
Yes,
product to market.
absolutely.
So you mentioned you had some coaches and mentors along the way. Is there anyone that stands out that maybe that's the best coach or mentor you had, and why?
Well, I don't know if I can mention their name, but I will say that when we had to go through the licensing process,
Mhm.
and you know, this is tobacco, so it was pretty daunting. And I got a call one day, and the gentleman said, Miss Ramirez, you know, I'm here with, you know, the alcohol, tobacco, firearms, or, you know, whatever the big agency was, the state of Georgia, such and such. And he
Mhm.
says, I'm calling to ask you about your cigars. Where are you getting them from? And I said, well, I'm getting them from various places, but mainly, you know, in the United States, but
Mhm.
mainly, a various state or wherever I was telling him. And he said, okay. And then I said, I heard a small accent. And I actually, before I ever did this long ago, I worked for MCI over the phone. And
Okay.
so I was in sales, and I was like queen of the fax. They even gave me a fax machine. I was really good at sales. So I could hear, you know, the accent, I could hear the personality in a sense. And so I said, I'm sorry, may I ask you, you know, are you from the Caribbean? And then he was like, yes. And I said, are you Jamaican? And he said, yes. And I was like, oh, wow. Well, I have Jamaican in my family, and I really have a question for you. I was wondering, I really need your help, you know. And then he was like, okay. So then basically what he did is he audited me. And some
Okay.
people may be like, what the heck? You just called that on yourself.
Yeah.
But and so that could be bad, right? But at the same time, he taught me what I needed.
Mhm.
And so I was able to, we made it through the audit. We were fine, you know, but without having that, would I have known what I was going to do wrong, you know?
Mhm.
And so it avoided a lot of problems in the long run. And I'm so grateful. I think he was the biggest teacher for me, because he was the one that could have used, you know, the stick, you know, or the carrot. So I was grateful that he was nice enough to teach me the right way to go.
Yeah, that's great. Going into that, that arrangement and meeting him and just being positive probably led to, that great outcome versus, like you said, having the stick in the hand and on the other side and him really cracking down.
Yes, I've heard horror stories of other, you know, companies out there that, you know, wanted to take the other route, and it
Mhm.
was not good in the end.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you think the future looks like for your company and what are some challenges you foresee as you move forward?
Well, I definitely want to expand out. I want to, I'm in the pot, you know, we're possibly looking into international,
Okay.
Jamaica in the grill, in a resort town, you know, something that has destination involved.
Yeah.
And even as a result of, you know, meeting so many people at our shop, we've been able to forge great relationships,
Mhm.
trips internationally. We went to Cuba to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary back when it was okay to, there was no issue for
Right.
us to fly, and it was great. And we had made so many good friends. And so we want to continue that concept. We actually purchased a villa. We want to do Villa Havana Negril. So it's kind of like your coffee, bed and breakfast, and you can come have some Blue Mountain coffee made Cuban style with a stick and some great breakfast, either Cuban, Jamaican, or American. And it has 4 apartments. It's going to be, off the strip. So you've got the quiet, quaint, listening to the ocean on the porch, things like that. And then we're still incorporating the cigars, but we're just taking it to another level and then being able to build the brand more.
That's awesome being able to expand like that.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what would you recommend a young person that's starting their first business in the world today?
Well, number one, never give up. Never give up, because even in sales, you're going to you talk to 10 people, you're getting at least 9.5 no's. You might be able to turn one person around, and that's all you need. So, if you remember that, then it's like you'll have a better opportunity to keep going. But that the obstacles are there for a reason, because we've got to work through this workbook of problems. And each time that we solve them, we're not, we graduate to a new level of what could happen. And then, being able to manifest it really does start with just your mindset and being able to really feel that this could happen and not doubt yourself and go out to the places where you believe you might meet somebody. Don't be afraid to go and be seen and talk to strangers, because nobody is a stranger. Ultimately, you'll meet the right people. I mean, we had no idea what cigars we were even going to carry. We only had, my husband had one friend who was, of course, a great friend, because it's the Gomez Sanchez family. And Pedro Gomez is one of the first cigar aficionados, like from the book, not the magazine. And he passed this down through 4 generations. And my husband grew up with his grandchildren, and they also wrote. And so that was the first one. And then we were like, okay, what else? Because I didn't want to just go the traditional route. Oh, they're going to send me the standard, whatever it is. And then I'm going to have that in my shop. I knew it was going to be a small shop. I didn't have a lot of room. So I had to have something good, that was going to be worth it for people to come. Yeah. And so it worked itself out, because we ended up, one time when we did go to Cuba, my husband knew the bartender at the Hotel Nacional, and he told us about Marcus Daniel Cigars, which is a boutique blend that he's out of Florida. And he was at some show at some point. So he was a big time person that we found out about in Cuba. So we're like, okay, he's legit. Let's try him. And he's, legal. So we went that route, and he came and helped christen the place, and blessed us with some more cigars, some $60 sticks, that were aged forever and were delicious. And so, it just happened one by one, but we never knew him, and literally it was like one of those things in Cuba, like he writes it on a match, on the match book. And then there's like, go to this address, and like downtown, they don't have any streets. So it's like, well, past the cathedral, 3 streets at some rock or something. And then you go there, and then the lady there is like, oh, you just missed him, go down to the market. And then you run down there to the market. And we went like 3 different places to like even get the information, because whatever it was like on one match. Yeah. One match cover somewhere, but we got it. So yeah, you're going to go through those little things, but that's a part of the journey. That's what makes it so fun. Like, wow, I had to go through a lot. So this is going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in the midst of it, like, oh my God, fretting, because that also delays it. It delays the blessing. And I can say that for myself personally, because I've done that. Just worry too much about it. And then now I'm messing up the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy the journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So is there anything you want to include in the form of an offer, or anyone that's watching this video, how can they contact you as well?
Well, we have a website. It's Havana Cigars, ATL.com, and that's HAV as in Victor, ANA Cigars, plural, ATL like Atlanta, .com. And we also have an Instagram at Havana Cigars ATL. We have a phone number, 678-399-3475. But we're available, you know, in all avenues. I mean, I don't have a Twitter or anything. I really was never into any of that. I just did LinkedIn. And so the Instagram was like, okay, this is for artists, art and creators, and I can do this. I can take pictures. I love to take pictures. And so that worked out. And as a result, you know, that's where we are. But they can come down and visit us is what we would like. You know, during the pandemic, we were visiting people. We were like, okay, we'll deliver, you know, whatever we have to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we did.
Awesome. So last question, what is inspiring you as you move forward in your business today?
What's inspiring me the most is that I'm able to make people happy. I think that the core to every business, you know, you've got to believe in your product, but your product should have something to do with helping the vibration of this earth that we're on by being nice to people and having the same reciprocated. Because the more that we do that, the higher our consciousness, the better we're going to be able to get along with each other, and the more peaceful the world will be. And so I guess that's just my main goal, like literally, you know, love in the coffee, love in the sticks, you know, love in the community and the conversations that happen as a result of putting your phone down and just speaking with someone that was a stranger, but is now a friend in Havana Cigars.
Yeah, that's awesome. Heather, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me on the interview today.
Thank you so much.